We're back. It's the penultimate round of the Rugby Championship. The Springboks are playing Argentina, and all four teams on 2 wins each. So it's on the knife edge at the moment. With me, as always, Gavin Rich and Nick Mallet. Welcome, guys. Nick, start with you. BOK team name this week, quite an interesting one, rewarding a lot of the players who did well in Wellington.
Yeah, it's good to be back and good chatting to you both again, as usual. I think, we had a speculation that Rusty, well, I speculated, not you guys, that Rusty has promised that he's going to give guys opportunities, the young guys and the old guys would get fewer games this year, probably 8. I think he mentioned something like 8 or 9 out of 13. So I was expecting a few more changes, but it's quite, it's very satisfactory to see that same backline go out. Virtually, you've got Fassi being replaced by Damien, obviously, and Damien Dallender coming in. He's such a widely and well-respected inside centre, so that's no problem. And then obviously the Lurta de Jager injury forced the other one. But one could have perhaps imagined had Fassi and Lurt not got injured, they might have even started. He might have even started with the same 15 and given them a vote of confidence. Just one aspect of it that I'm very interested to see is I thought the decision making of Mani Libbok was outstanding in the second half, and had Sasha stayed on the field, it would have been great to see how he would have managed that game. And so he's been given another opportunity. Let's hope he manages to finish at least 60 minutes or whatever Rusty's planning to give him, and to see whether he has the ability to get the best out of a backline and take good decisions at the right time.
Yeah, but Brendan, the team, I like the team. You'll know that I like the team because there's a little bit of continuity to it, and these are important. Like last two, as you said yourself when we started, that it's on a knife edge. Not too much to add to what Nick said. Other than, well, I was half expecting him to play Mani just because he's played Mani in the last 2 tests against Argentina. You remember Mani missed that kick in the game in Argentina last year, and he cooked against them at Nelspruit last year. But I don't think we're necessarily going to be trying to play the same game that we played in Nelspruit anyway. So it is good to see Sasha get another chance to wear the 10, because he hasn't worn the 10 that often this season. I'm actually going to, for my talking point, I'm going to go outside of the bench. Outside of the starting team, and go to the choice of hooker again. I'm very interested to see Jan Hendrik Wessels back. And, obviously, I've said before that I don't know how long Bongi's going to still remain part of the setups. And once again, he's not there. I don't actually, is he part of the squad at the moment, Brendan?
Yeah, he is.
I actually can't remember.
He had part of the squad. Okay. So he's Rossi said they're getting him slowly back into the swing of things, whatever that means. So,
okay. Well, I know from having spoken to the guys at the Sharks on that he is a little bit overweight from what he was when he won the World Cup. And when I say a little bit, he's about 4 or 5 kgs heavier, or he has been this year compared to what he was then. So maybe he'll go to Dance Farm. Or wherever those guys.
to lose a bit of weight. Yeah, I think it's great to have a look at Wessels there, at Jan Hendrik Wessels at hooker as well. He's got massive potential in that position. He's strong enough to be a loose head prop. It's almost like that old Argentinian player who would be a prop and then move to hooker, and then that whole front row would. The Bachiada started that special push that they used to have. Came from having 3 props in the front row, and one of those props was able to throw in. So a guy like Jan Hendrik Wessels, apart from the fact that he's incredibly quick around the field, he has all the attributes to be another Marks. But it's good to see that Bongi's been brought back in. I just think that maybe it's harder when you're 35, 36 to recover from injuries than it is for a 22-year-old, 23-year-old. So good luck to him. But I think the future perhaps is with another hooker.
I think that the thing about Bongi is that Victor Matfield, he was a natural athlete. So he obviously Victor I've never spoken to Victor about this, but I would imagine that he went on a diet later in his life, and maybe he didn't actually, knowing Victor, maybe he didn't go complete abstinence from drinking, but he probably did sort of like look after himself a lot more in those later years. Brunnis is Dion Fourie is called Brunnis for a reason, so I don't think he necessarily leaves drink alone completely either. But he's also another athlete, so those guys can play till they're 38, 39. But Bongi's, he's got to build a different type of build. So I don't think he's a natural athlete. He's going to have to change his whole lifestyle probably in order to still be an athlete at 35. So I think that's really the issue there.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as he doesn't go to the same doctor that Asanati went to, but that's a different story and a different discussion altogether. Guys, just Argentina, I mean, I know a lot of South Africans probably think we beat Argentina quite regularly, but this year they have beaten the British Lions, British and Irish Lions. They have beaten Australia and they have beaten New Zealand. So they certainly are a threat, and they have won in Durban before, although there was a bit of an asterisk with that one. But still, they a hell of a good team. They're a hell of a pacey, lots of sevens players in that team as well. Nick, just your thoughts on them?
I've got tremendous respect for the Argentinians as a rugby nation. They've made, I think, something close on 3 of the last 4 semi-finals of the World Cups that they've played in. Philippe Contaponi is a wonderful coach. He's been involved with Leinster for a long period of time. He's a qualified doctor, a bright guy, and obviously is passionate about rugby. So he's gone into coaching and has done a brilliant job with them. I mean, it's just magnificent. They probably have the most flowing backline in terms of the ability to run onto the ball with various options around the ball carrier than anyone else. I think better than New Zealand and better than Australia. So he's really coached those guys. They have sweeping backline movements with lots of dummy runners, people available on inside balls, guys coming short, playing behind the back, and they maintain their depth. But because they're running flat out, they get to the advantage line quickly with accurate passing. I mean, they've scored some wonderful tries. So they've moved away from obviously that kicking and scrumming and mauling team and become a very dangerous side to play against. You have to be at your best, and when we are at our best, we have got the physicality to dominate their pack and give good ball to force them to make lots of tackles. But if it's a 50-50 game and they manage to win 50% of the ball, then we're going to be up against it against them because they truly have got a very, very good attack.
Yeah, I think, Brent, that to me they've been quite good at attacking off transition for a while, but what they've sort of added to this year is like attacking off set phase, and they've done I think that they've done really well. So they've improved. I do sort of see them, to be honest, as a bit of a mini me of the box in a way, in the sense that I think that they might be able to bully other teams. And get away against other teams that what they won't against us. When I say a mini me, I'm talking about obviously the Austin Powers thing, like a smaller version of a smaller version of the box. And I think that's the one thing that they may struggle with, in the sense that if the box go out to strangle them and manage it, which they could, I think then the Argentinians are taken into a place that they're not used to. Then there come question marks. I'm not sure if their discipline's been quite as poor recently as it used to be, but their discipline could then be a problem, and they end up losing players to the bin. So I think that could possibly be a problem for Argentina on Saturday, and just in the sense that they are playing against the one team that can sort of bully them, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I agree with that, except I think their discipline has improved enormously under Contaponi. Really, they've been penalised far fewer times for stupid, unnecessary mistakes. Obviously, in any game, you're going to be penalised for coming in from the side or perhaps, but not the sort of yellow, red card things that were happening in the past. You think a loose forward like Kremer's been making over 20 tackles a game. Matera, when they beat the All Blacks, was absolutely outstanding. So I don't think they're nervous about our physicality. I think we will be too strong for them and too organised, but they're incredibly proud and passionate players, and can lift themselves for for a game like this. So, the fact that they're not giving away these stupid penalties, which often then would relieve pressure and allow the opponents, well, often they'd be playing with 14 men, and, giving consecutive penalties, you end up by the line in no time at all. So if they get their discipline right, they've got two wonderfully talented Albanese, I think, one way, and Carrera, they're 210s. Whoever's playing, they get the best out of that back line. And defensively, they work hard. So it's not a surprise, quite frankly, that they've beaten Australia once and that they've beaten New Zealand once. I think it is very much a matter of focus, concentration, focus. Remember last week we spoke about the All Blacks having beaten us at Eden Park and then perhaps being a notch down in the game when we played them at Wellington, and we went a notch up, having been a little bit, obviously we went in that game hoping to win, but perhaps not with the same intensity that we had in the second game. And the Argentinians, when they lost the first test against the All Blacks, they came back. They were a different animal when they played that second test. So it all depends on what our attitude is. Are we going to be a team that wins one, loses one, wins one, loses one, wins one, loses one, or are we now going to maintain that dominance that we had against the All Blacks, and particularly in that second half? I hope so. I really hope so, because that came out of good decision making, good kicking in the second half, scoring, taking opportunities in their 22. I think it was 12 or 13 times, and scored 6 tries from them. Whereas the week before it was 2 out of 12. So it is about taking opportunities and maintaining your discipline.
I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned that, Nick, because I think the biggest question on the Springbok team is, can they back up that performance? So often we haven't seen Springbok teams being able to back up that performance. And it was certainly an exceptional performance. It was nice to see Tony Brown earlier this week also talk about how they weren't happy about that first half. All good at the second half, but that first half, there's still lots of work on. So they're certainly drumming that home. Gav, I mean, just your thoughts on that. Durban hasn't been a happy hunting ground always for the Springboks. They lost to Ireland there last year. They lost to Argentina, but they've beaten Argentina a couple of times. Argentina will be very used to this field. I think they played there 3 or 4 times in the last 8 or 9 years. And they also, I mean, the other one was that big pre-Russie All Black game that they lost there. Durban's not always been the BOKS favourite hunting ground.
No, for 57-15 was that game you're talking about in 2016, the All Blacks. I was there. I've been at all those games where the BOKS have lost. But you talk about the asterisks to the 2015 game. I bumped into Heineke Meyer. He was the BOK coach then when I was walking along the Umhlanga beachfront, I think the day before the game, and we ended up having quite a long chat. And it was one of those situations where the BOK coach asks you, like, oh, what do you think is going to happen tomorrow? And because he's the BOK coach, like I probably did with Nick when he was the BOK coach, you sort of say, well, I think you guys are going to win and you're going to do well. And Heineke sort of actually stopped me and he said, no. He said, what you need to know is that I worked the guys incredibly hard this week, that they did a heck of a lot of fitness. And he said, we're going to be flat. And they were flat and they were outplayed. So maybe Heineke got that one wrong. So that's the asterisk to Durban those years ago. When it comes to Argentina and Durban, the BOKS have won the other games, but they haven't always hit target. You'll recall that the last time they played them, I think it was 2022, and the BOKS needed to win with a bonus point, which is actually an important thing to talk about now as well. But they needed to win with a bonus point to pip New Zealand to the Rugby Championship. And they were on target to do that. And then, funnily enough, we were talking about in Argentina in discipline earlier on. If I remember correctly, Urban got a yellow card in that game, and the BOKS actually got they lost their discipline a bit, and so they didn't pick up the 3 tries. So it's not a stadium where the BOKS always hit target. There have been occasions when they have. I mean, there was that game where Mornay Steyn scored more than 30 points against the All Blacks in 2009. And also the 2009, obviously, the British and Irish Lions game. That was when they won the first test. But it generally has been a bit of a sort of iffy stadium for the BOKS. So you're right. But I mean, not that the stadium should matter. Maybe there's a little bit of clamminess around it this time of the year, but it's not quite like it is in December and January there. Early spring can put a little bit of slippery ball, but not quite as much as later on. So there's, I have a good feeling about the BOKS on Saturday. I just sort of feel that there's been so much talk about perfecting their game this week, which they did in the first 20 minutes against Australia in Joburg. I'm not saying that I expect that again, but I think that's sort of the standard of the BOKS. I think that second half in Wellington and that first 20 minutes in Joburg.
Yeah, absolutely. Brendan, I think the one not concerning thing, but in a sense, going into this game with the same team, there's perhaps going to be a feeling that the same team can kick off the game like they finished it last time. And a rugby game's never like that. It is never. Every single rugby game has its own story and its own momentum swings and its own moments of when you've got to defend and turn pressure, turn it onto the opposition, slow the ball down, play a kicking game, or accelerate the game when you're in a strong position. And I mean, I've never seen it before, but the All Blacks were in disarray at the end of that game. If it had gone on another 10 minutes, we'd have scored another 10 points, another 2 tries, 3 tries. So this one, we have to understand that we've got to wear them down first. I don't necessarily think we're going to run them off their feet, in that first half. It's got to be building an innings and then finishing it off strongly at the end of the game. And you can score in 20 minutes. You can score 3 tries easily if you dominated a team for 60. So playing in the right areas of the field, the importance of Sasha making good decisions for his team and being direct. Still being direct. We can have the movement of transition ball, of winning ball, aerial contests, or turnovers, poor kicks from them. But from your set pieces, let's make sure we get across the advantage line and use our big runners and really wear them down. That's what is going to be very important. We don't want to go back and see a team that overplays like we did in Emirates Airline Park. That would be very disappointing.
Well, I think the most important thing against an Argentina team, and Nick, you having played in France and having coached Italy, you know all about Latin temperament. And the one thing that's never changed, right from our very first test of the post-isolation era, if I remember correctly, under Ian McIntosh in '93, South Africa dominated the first half, and then they let the Argentinians a bit into the game. And it's almost like the Asterix and Obelix cartoons that we read when we were kids, as if somebody gave them magic potion at half time. But it's just that little bit of breathing. So I said earlier on that the BOKS will be out to suffocate them. And I think against this Argentinian team, that's probably what's important, is not to let them breathe. If they breathe they get 2 quick tries. That's what happened in the game in Argentina last year. South Africa were dominating the game. I think they got 1 or 2 tries, and then suddenly they dominated the game. That is the problem with Argentina, is that they grow an extra arm and a leg if you give them just that little bit of and I don't know if that's the Latin temperament, but certainly I think it applies in their case.
Yeah. No, it is. It definitely is the Latin temperament. What I've been impressed about with this team is, like the Australians, they don't go away. You get 20 points up, they come back at you. They come back. Australians came back at us at 20 points up, and Argentina did the same. When the All Blacks, I think they got 10 or 14 points ahead, and it didn't bother them. They kept on playing, and won it. Won it convincingly at the end of the game. So, what Rusty said, I think, is really important, that you respect your opponent and you don't think more than a week ahead. So we must concentrate on this game. Let's just, get through this challenge. Then we worry about Twickenham and whether it's a good home game for us or not. I think this is so important for these players, for an Ethan Hooker, for Damien Willems at fullback, who said that he'd lost a bit of confidence at fullback. But having played at centre and then going to fullback, he was so full of confidence, having played so well at centre, that he carried that confidence through to the fullback position when he was playing there. Let's hope he carries that into this game. Is Sasha going to get through a game of rugby? It's worrying, the fact that he goes off so often. I think it's 4 or 5 times he hasn't made half time, if you add the Stormers' performances and being with the BOKS. So lots of questions that can be answered in this game, and certainly Argentina, a team that's going to ask those questions of our forwards and our backline. They're a good side. They're a really good side, top 6 in the world, and I think you've got to be on your toes to beat them comfortably.
Last question from me. I think we'll start wrapping it up. There is just one of you mentioned the aerial contest. That's going to be fascinating, because when Argentina beat the All Blacks, that's where they beat them. It was in the air, and where we beat the All Blacks in Wellington was the same. Both sides are brilliant in the air, so that it's interesting because you almost wonder if there's not a thing just to vary it a bit more than we did in Wellington because they're so good in the air. But then again, they've got threats in all parts of the park as well.
The one thing about this, I'll try and be quick here. Sorry, Gavin, is that now without escorting, you can't protect your catcher now. So the touch judges are watching for obstructive running. So it allows your guys to really get some momentum going up that ball. If the kicks are good, if the kicks are outside the 22, so that the player can't mark it, we can get a bit of acceleration and jump, whereas they're often static. And we've got some. I mean, Ethan Hooker was outstanding, and as is Colby, and as are the guys we leave. If we left Etzebeth out there or Peter Steff, sometimes we leave a big loose forward out there to cause damage with those high balls. So, but what they've done is they've got a lot of sevens players in that back line, and their two wingers are very good under the high ball as well. So that's going to be a difficult contest. Not quite. I don't think it might. It won't go as easily as it did for us against the All Blacks. The All Blacks were very poor in the air, I thought, and that was an area of the game that we completely dominated.
Gav,
you want me to come in? About the aerial game?
No,
no, I agree. I agree. I agree with everything Nick says there. So there's nothing really to add. My prediction is that the Boks will win by at least 50. No, I mean, and this isn't disrespecting Argentina, and it's not negating what we've all said, the good things about Argentina. I just think that in South Africa at home, I think that, as I said earlier, the standard, South Africa have set the standard. I know what the BOKS standard is, and I think they'll maintain that standard. They may not start off like a house on fire, like as we said about at Ellis Park, but I think that they'll systematically wear the Argentinians down, and I think the bookies have also gone for about 16 points. So I think they've got it right this time. I think it's 15 to 16. Well, more than 15 points. I'd be surprised if it was closer than that.
Yeah. So mine is, I think everything's been very tight in the competition except for our game against the All Blacks where we ran away, and ironically when Australia ran away with us by 36 points. I think it'll be around 10. I'm just giving them a little bit more credit, perhaps, and I think they're a decent side who can maybe, our younger brother, if you like, as you said, mini me or whatever you call it, but they certainly do things right. I think it's going to be a good test for us, and a 10-point win, 30 points, 32-22 or something like that, I think will be a good result for us.
Yeah. I'm going to echo what you guys said. I also think the Boks will win, probably by more than a score, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And I think the big thing here is the bonus point. To score 3 tries more than them is going to be very difficult, and especially with their attack at the moment. So I'd be happy with just a win, and then hopefully nobody picks up a bonus point in New Zealand, in Auckland as well, and then it goes down to the final week as well. But yeah, thanks guys for that. We'll be back after the test as well to talk about that, and then to look ahead to Twickenham. And enjoy the game, guys.
Cheers. I'll see you there.
Thanks, Brendan. Cheers.